blues in G.
Hello, I'm James and welcome to Beginner's Slide Guitar. Today we're going to deal with the basics of how to play slide guitar. We'll begin with muting. Your right hand has to keep this unwanted string silent. If you just let go of your guitar, you get this. So you have to keep your hand on the strings. Only allowing the strings you want to ring out. First we're going to play on the third string only. 1, 2, 3. The way to keep the other strings quiet is to keep your fingers on them. The thumb is muting the bottom 3 strings, your 4th, 5th, and 6th string. Second finger keeps the second string quiet. Third finger keeping the first string quiet. Index finger will be picking the third string. As you can hear, the only sound we're hearing is the third string. If I remove my fingers, all the other strings are ringing as well. So remember, keep your hand on any unwanted strings. Here's a closer look. As you can see, all 6 strings are presently muted. The thumb is muting our bottom 3 strings. That's the 4th, 5th, and 6th string, all muted with the thumb. The first string is muted by the third finger. The second string is muted by the second finger. The third string is presently muted by the index finger. This is the string we're going to be playing with. One of the challenges of playing slide guitar is being in tune. When playing the guitar in the conventional manner, we use our fingers to press the strings up against the frets. When playing slide guitar, your slide is your fret. We don't press down very hard on the string at all, just making contact. If you press down hard enough to rub the slide against the frets, you're pushing too hard. It'll sound something like this. You can hear the slide scraping against the frets, making the slide really useless. You might as well use your finger. If you press very lightly with the slide, you'll get a smooth transition from one note to the next. In order to play a note in tune with a slide, you have to place the slide on the string directly over the fret. Not to the side of the fret like you would when you play with your finger, but directly on top of the fret. Not pressing down hard enough to touch the fret, but directly over it. If you're off by even a millimeter, the note will be flat or sharp. Not a pleasant sound. A great way to make sure that you're in tune is to first play the notes with your fingers, getting your ear adjusted to the precise pitch. Then attempting the same note with your slide. As you can hear, they're the same. Once you've learned to be in tune, you'll strategically be out of tune. What I mean by this is to scoop into your target pitch. Our target is G, the 12th fret on the 3rd string. Remember, your right hand muting. We're going to play the note F 2 frets below G. That's the 10th fret, 3rd string. Then attempt to make the same sound with your slide. Now, this is not very smooth sounding, so what we're going to do, play the note F and slide into G. At first, it would be a good idea to go slowly so that you can hear all the steps in between. then try it with the backing track. Now the fun part. We're going to play 3 notes. We're moving up. We're going to switch from the 3rd string to the 2nd string. Watch closely. Now be sure that you don't leave any strings open or else you start getting a big mess. Keep your fingers on the strings except for the one that you're playing. Now there's numerous different picking techniques. We'll start with the easiest one, using only your index finger to pick the strings. When picking the 2nd string, be sure to follow through and make contact with the 3rd string, thereby keeping it silent. When you go to pick the 3rd string again, make sure your 2nd finger comes down on the 2nd string. This next exercise may sound easy, but it'll take you a while to get this. We're going to slide on our 2nd string from the 10th fret to the 11th fret. We're going to continue sliding to the 12th fret, but at that point we're going to switch strings. Watch the right hand closely. Notice that when I switched to the 3rd string, my 2nd finger came down on the 2nd string, keeping it silent. Once again, sliding from the 10th fret to the 11th fret on the 2nd string, and continuing to slide to the 12th fret, but switching to the 3rd string. With the slide, it sounds like so. Again. Now let's try this with the backing track. That sounds smooth, it's fairly lifeless. A good vibrato is essential to all guitar playing, but it's particularly important with the slide. Don't worry about a little bit of excess noise, it adds to the bluesy feel of the slide. The sound of the slide scraping the strings is quite pleasant. You'll notice that I release my thumb, bring it out front. This is just so there's nothing impeding my movement at all. Notice that I don't move the slide like this. Now at first you want to keep it very small or else it'll sound out of tune. Now let's try it with the backing track. Next example, we're going to mix things up a little bit. F to G, B flat to G. Remember, we're sliding into the B flat from A, which is at the 10th fret 2nd string. 10th fret 2nd string to 11th fret 2nd string. And G on the Next, we're going to play on the 4th string. 12th fret, 4th string, sliding to the 10th fret, 4th string. These are the notes D and C. Now with the slide. Usually sounds more pleasant and more bluesy if we scoop into our first note. So start at the 10th fret, 4th string, and slide to the 12th fret, and then slide back to the 10th fret, like this. Now let's try putting it all together. Learned may be simple, but it's very effective. And when we're talking about blues slide guitar, simple is often best. With those basic licks you've now got under your fingers, you can create a solo. As you probably noticed, there's a lot of movement with the slide. This comes down to personal taste. It's just as acceptable to slide directly into the note, or take a quick dip down and back up. Do what sounds good to you. There's no right or wrong here. But notice the way the slide is moving. Picture a windshield wiper. When we slide up and settle into our target. Coming down and settle into the target. When we're talking about blues, it's often prudent to slide up to your note. Slightly flat and in. But this isn't a rule. Once again, do what sounds good to your ears. So remember, right hand muting. Cover up any string you don't want to make sound. With your slide, you have to be directly over the fret in order to get the correct pitch. When moving your slide from one point to the next, angle your hand like a windshield wiper. This creates a more fluid sound. Here's an example of a solo using only those basic ideas we've discussed.